I have a love and hate relationship with airplanes. I hate it because every time I board a plane, I somehow convince myself that this is the plane that's going to crash. Some might call it flight anxiety, but I like to call it a natural survival instinct. Now, you can tell me all you want about the numbers, the percentage of a plane crashing, and how it is actually the safest way of transportation. But when I am on the plane experiencing some turbulence, I will convince myself that it's my last day in this world. Which sucks because I travel on the plane a lot. I go back and forth between Tokyo and New York. And there was this one time when I was heading back to New York after winter break, and it was really bad weather. There was a snowstorm coming, and the plane shook for about 70% of the ride. I really thought that was it for me. The people around me started praying. And as a religion major, I thought, well, this is pretty much the closest I can get to God right now, so I might as well pray. And I did. I started to think about all of the people in my life that were dear to me, my family, my friends. And in a weird way, I felt like that was where I belonged. Up in the sky, on the airplane, I didn't have to fit into any country. And that's how I feel. You see, I was born in Japan, moved to Boston when I was 4 years old, moved back to Japan when I was 8, and came here for college. And because of this, I've always felt too American when I'm in Japan and too Japanese when I'm in the States. I feel like I'm constantly in between, but never enough of either. Here's an example. After finishing my freshman year at Vassar, I went back to Tokyo and visited my old high school. And the first thing that my teacher said to me when she saw me was, "Oh, Miku-chan, 丸くなったね. Oh, Miku, you've gotten a little rounder." I wanted to cry. I wanted to say, "That's triggering. Please don't say that." But what I actually did was laugh and say, "Yes, the American food really changed me." And it hurt. Now you might be thinking, "Oh, you should have stood up for yourself. You can't have other people talking about your appearances like that." And I agree, but I wouldn't have agreed if I had never lived in the States before. Because talking about your appearances and your weight is not a taboo in Japan. Because girls are supposed to be skinny. And that's part of our culture. It's a toxic culture from an American perspective, but it's still a culture, and I want to respect that. And this is why I made the conscious decision to say, yes, I've gotten rounder. Because I am Japanese, and I was in Japan, and when in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? And this is what I mean when I say I feel in between. When people ask me where my home is, I struggle to come up with an answer. Is home where my family is? Is it where I grew up? Or is it where I feel the most comfortable? I also want to acknowledge the fact that it is a blessing and a privilege to be able to have multiple places where I can consider home. And I'm grateful. I will forever be grateful. But sometimes it gets a little lonely knowing that I will probably never be fully accepted by either culture. And I don't think this is something that only applies to people who've lived abroad. You can feel out of place while surrounding the dinner table with your family in the house you grew up in. You can feel out of place after spending so much time in college and then suddenly going back to your hometown. So how do we find a place where we can fit in, where we can feel whole and not in between? On a different note, I love Marvel. I love Marvel. So if you're not a Marvel fan, you can skip to the end of this talk. No, I'm kidding. You have to sit through this while I nerd out. So, WandaVision. It's a show about Wanda, a witch, who revives her dead robot boyfriend Vision and creates this alternate reality that is based on her idea of a perfect world. And yes, as a Marvel fan, it hurt to condense it to just that. But anyways, as I was watching the show for the third time around, I realized something. Towards the beginning of the series, there's a scene where Wanda says to Vision, "This is our home now. I want us to fit in." And the couple hides their superpowers from the rest of the people in the neighborhood so that they can fit in. However, by the end of the series, there's a scene where Wanda says again, "Vision, this is our home." And to that, Vision replies, "Then let's fight for it." And this is followed by a cool superhero scene where Vision zooms past the screen and there's a bunch of action. But anyways, the phrase, "let's fight for it," rather than "let's fit in." You see, all this time, I feel like I've been trying to find a place where I can fit in. I've been trying to find where my home is, but what if I stop trying to find where I can fit in and find somewhere I can belong? Where I don't have to change who I am and still look at it and think, this is what I want to fight for. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the superpowers to literally build my own world like Wanda did. But I do want to be able to make wherever I am home. People often say home is where the family is, and I believe that. But I also want to be able to say home is where I am. I want to be able to say to my high school teacher, "I don't feel comfortable when you talk about my appearance like that." I want to stop trying to fit into these squares and circles when really I am just the shape of an amoeba, and that's okay. The more I think about this, the more I'm beginning to realize that home may not be a physical place. Maybe it's a feeling. Maybe home is the smell of coffee that my mom used to make me in the morning. Maybe it's the laughter that spills when my friends crack a joke. Maybe it's the warmth I feel when someone wraps their arms around me. Maybe home is not a place that I'm supposed to find, but the memories that exist in me. So the next time I board a plane, which will be in a few months when I move back to Tokyo to start working there, I will tell myself, if the plane crashes right here, right now, I am grateful for all of the memories that I've made with all of the people from all different places, because in the end, as cheesy as it may sound, these are what make me the person I am today. And all of these memories are my home. But let's hope that I do survive this plane ride, because in all honesty, I still have a lot of memories that I want to make. And I'm very excited for that. Thank you.